Oxy-acetylene flame grooving is a convenient and fast way to remove unwanted surface metal from steel plate, castings, or forgings. In flame grooving, you use a special nozzle that delivers a large jet of oxygen at low velocity. With it, you cut or gouge a smooth, accurately defined groove in the surface of the metal. You can control both the width and the depth of the groove by using varying blowpipe techniques. To show you how this is done, let's start by making a groove 3/8 of an inch wide and 3/8 of an inch deep in this steel plate. First, check the Lindy table of operating data to find the correct oxygen and acetylene pressures. For a 3/8 inch groove, use an oxygen pressure of 30 pounds and an acetylene pressure of 10 pounds per square inch. Light the blowpipe and adjust the preheat flames to neutral. Then press the cutting oxygen lever and readjust the flames to neutral. Now, preheat a small spot, holding the blowpipe so that the end of the nozzle is at an angle of about 30 degrees to the surface, like this. When the metal glows bright red, press the cutting oxygen lever slowly. As the cutting action starts, turn the blowpipe in a smooth downward arc until the angle between nozzle and plate is about 7 degrees, and move the nozzle forward along the line of cut, but don't let it touch the metal. Keep the inner cones of the flames about 3/8 of an inch in back of the molten metal. Let's look at that again. Preheat with a nozzle at an angle of about 30 degrees. As cutting starts, reduce the angle to about 7 degrees and move the blowpipe forward. Keep the preheat flames about 3/8 of an inch in back of the molten metal as it is forced ahead. The nozzle angle is important. If it is much more than 30 degrees, slag tends to flow backward into the groove. If the angle is much less than 7 degrees, the groove becomes so shallow that the cut is soon lost. When this happens, preheat at the point where the groove cutting action stopped. As the metal becomes bright red, press the cutting oxygen lever slowly and reduce the angle between the nozzle and the plate. As soon as the cut reaches the desired depth, move the blowpipe along. Use a slightly different technique to start at the edge of a plate. Preheat the edge as usual until it turns bright red. Then lift the nozzle slightly above the plate surface and reduce the nozzle angle to about 7 degrees. Now, press the cutting oxygen lever and bring the nozzle down gradually. Make the starting cut to the desired depth before you carry the groove forward. Let's watch this in animation. Preheat with a nozzle at a 30-degree angle. Reduce this angle to about 7 degrees as you raise the nozzle slightly above the plate surface. Turn on the cutting oxygen and lower the nozzle gradually to start the groove. Keep the nozzle at the 7-degree angle as you move the blowpipe along. Spot gouging is used to remove defects in metal. Mark the bad area with a piece of chalk or soapstone. Preheat a spot at the edge of this area. As cutting starts, draw the nozzle back and decrease the nozzle angle for a moment. Now, direct the cutting action downward more and more until the defects are reached and washed away. Because the nozzle angle is so important, let's watch it again in animation. Preheat with a nozzle at a 30-degree angle. When the metal turns red, press the cutting oxygen lever, draw the nozzle back, and decrease the angle. Then increase the angle to direct the cut downward. Flame gouging leaves a U-shaped groove which needs no additional preparation for welding. You can cut grooves of various widths and depths by changing oxygen pressure and angle of nozzle to plate. To demonstrate this, set the oxygen pressure at 25 pounds per square inch and cut a groove with the nozzle held at an angle of about 7 degrees. This groove is about 3/8 of an inch wide, but only 1/8 of an inch deep. Now, increase the oxygen pressure to 35 pounds per square inch and increase the angle between nozzle and plate to approximately 10 degrees. This groove is about 1/2 of an inch wide and 3/8 of an inch deep. Change the oxygen pressure as necessary for the width and depth of groove desired. Notice the motion of the blowpipe as the flame is used to wash away excess metal. This washing technique is used to remove riser pads from castings. It is also used to trim and rough-shape steel plate and other materials in order to reduce machining time and costs. Flame grooving is a fast way to prepare steel plates for welding. Just butt the plates together and cut a U-shaped groove simultaneously along both of the edges to be joined by welding. Use flame grooving to remove temporary welds without damage to adjoining parts. Although firmly welded to the steel plate, this angle bracket is easily removed without harm to bracket or plate. You can eliminate slow and expensive chipping or grinding in preparing a cracked steel part for welding. Prepare a V for the weld metal by cutting a groove along the length of the crack. Flame grooving clearly reveals the extent of the crack, so that it is easy for you to tell when you've reached sound metal. That didn't take long. A simple welding job, and it will be as good as new again. Now, let's review some of the important points in flame grooving. First, decide upon the width and depth of the groove to be cut. Then, consult the Lindy table of operating data for correct oxygen and acetylene pressures. Remember to readjust the preheat flames to neutral when you turn the cutting oxygen on. This gives you a more concentrated preheat and a faster start. Preheat with the end of the nozzle at an angle of about 30 degrees to the plate surface. As cutting starts, turn the blowpipe in a smooth downward arc until the nozzle angle is about 7 degrees, and move forward along the line of cut. Remember that the width and depth of the groove depend upon oxygen pressure, speed of progress, and the angle between the cutting oxygen stream and the work. For a shallow groove, the nozzle angle is less and the speed is faster than normal. For a deep groove, the angle of the nozzle is greater and speed is slower than normal. Practice until you can remove unwanted metal smoothly and quickly. Flame grooving and flame gouging will save you time and effort in the fabricating, repairing, dismantling, trimming, and shaping of steel.